Hello and welcome back to the track, and the track this week is freaking hot. Today I want to talk about Red Bull, but more specifically Yuki Tsunoda versus Liam Lawson. Is Liam now out of a seat? Did Yuki finally prove to Red Bull that he should have been the guy in that seat this whole time? And honestly, at this point, does he even want to go to Red Bull? Does Red Bull just simply have a bad car? And before we get to lights out, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Let me know down in the comments if you think that Yuki's gonna be promoted to Red Bull by the time we get to Japan. And let's aim for 15 likes. I asked you guys for 10 likes on the last week's video and you guys totally smashed that, so let's aim high and away we go. Now I want to start things off with Liam Lawson because there was a lot of hype about him going to Red Bull instead of Yuki Tsunoda, and it seems like Red Bull's sort of paying for it now. In the Australian GP, he didn't make it past Q1, didn't have the best start to his career with a DNF. Granted, not totally his fault, seeing as how the conditions were pretty shitty and he'd never driven the track, but still sort of unacceptable, although expected from the rookie with the most experience on the grid right now, assuming you're not counting Fernando Alonso. But because of everything that had happened in the Australian GP, I didn't really put too much weight behind it because China was coming up, and China was coming up dry, very, very dry. But to not be able to make it out of Q1 in Australia in both qualifying sessions of the Chinese Grand Prix, it's sort of alarming. And if that is the case, and if this is who they're gonna stick with, then why did they even get rid of Checo? The Red Bull have been known for being absolutely fucking ruthless with their drivers, and this is not looking good for Liam Lawson because his whole campaign was about how he was ready for that seat and how he was ready to take on Max, but yet has really shown nothing. And this isn't even me comparing him to Max Verstappen. This is about the fact that he can't get out of Q1. So then when you go from all of that to Yuki Tsunoda, who even Helmut Marko said that the Yuki Tsunoda that we're seeing now is one that we have never seen before, and that's really good for him. Hands down, the strongest start that he's ever had. Off rip in Australia, P5. Somehow he was able to put that car in P5, only 2/10 behind Max. Where was Lawson? He was out in Q1. And what sucked is the fact that the weather was just so crappy that he was one of the drivers who got caught out, and he unfortunately didn't come out winning there and ended the race in P12. Nevertheless, finished the race. Had the team been able to do something for him in Australia, he would have finished really, really strong and deep into the points, maybe even a podium for him, because we've seen how comfortable he is with that Racing Bull car. And then we come over to China, where Tsunoda was not only able to get the car in a Q3 for the sprint qualifying, but then for the actual qualifying of the race. And if it hadn't been because the front wing broke at the end of the Grand Prix, he would have done insanely. And it's unfortunate that during 2 races now, there have been things that happened to him that were completely out of his control. And so we still haven't seen what Yuki is capable of because of situations out of his control. And so as far as making a case of who deserves the Red Bull seat more than the other, I think so far Yuki's winning that argument, if there even is an argument. Now, when you look at Yuki and you look at Liam, Yuki has been able to get his car into Q3 every single qualifying session so far this year, whereas Liam Lawson hasn't been able to get it out of Q1. Clearly, Yuki being the better qualifier. And then you look at the race pace. During the first race, we got Lawson with a DNF because he decided to hug the wall, and Yuki Tsunoda would have done so much better had he not been caught out by the rain. But then you look at China. In the sprint race, Yuki Tsunoda is able to get the car into P6 and score points for Racing Bulls during the sprint, whereas Liam Lawson like P12. And then you look at the actual race. If it hadn't been because of his wing broke at the end, he would have been well into the points, whereas Lawson P12, only because 3 people got disqualified too. So this leads me to now ask the following question, which is, does Red Bull just have a bad car? Put Max in any car, he's gonna be able to outperform anybody. You can put him in a Sauber and he'll manage to put that thing into the points. And even he said that he's expecting his engineers to be able to make a car that not only a 4-time world champion can drive, clearly admitting to the fact that Red Bull is struggling with the development of their car. And who is suffering the most out of all of this? Liam Lawson. And the reason why I don't want Yuki to go to Red Bull, because the car is not good. I think a lot of Red Bull fans are going to be upset at the fact that their car just simply isn't what it once was. So it's not impossible to think that Red Bull really has fallen off. And the only reason why we're even considering them a top team at this point is because of Max Verstappen, not because of their team or their car. Their car is shit. If Checo, who is a very good veteran, I may say, wasn't able to do much with that car, what makes people think that either Liam Lawson or Yuki Tsunoda are going to be able to do anything with it. I think Yuki's best chances are to stay in Racing Bull if he's even able to tell Red Bull to go fuck off if they decide to call him up and put him next to Max. He should say no to that and start his campaign to maybe try and convince teams like Mercedes and Aston Martin, like, hey, look, I'm clearly a good driver. Let's talk. I don't know. This whole situation's messed up. I want Yuki, honestly, to stay at Racing Bulls, and if he does go to Red Bull, obviously I want him to do better. But you guys let me know what you think down in the comments below. Do you think I'm right? Do you think I'm wrong? Would you rather see Yuki on that Red Bull seat, or do you want to see him stay at the Racing Bulls? Should be an interesting next couple of weeks, or at least until the next upgrade package. Once again, I appreciate you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Again, let's go for 15 likes. You guys smashed the 10 like challenge last time, so let's aim high. And until the next one, box. Yeah, I got nothing clever again. I'm sorry.